Kevin, we're here at PubKey Bar. Thomas, we're happy to be here, but your bar takes Bitcoin, which I think is a very unique idea. President Trump visited here because he really believes in a future that incorporates cryptocurrency. But Kevin, let me ask you this. This is a concept, cryptocurrency, that I think a lot of people are interested in. They're not yet comfortable with. Is this something that we're going to see in the mainstream in the future?
Yeah, the reason they're not comfortable with it right now is they've watched the cowboy era of crypto, but all the crypto cowboys are in jail or out of business. So now we're in a new phase. There's a new tone at the government. Trump has put it forward. They're going to provide regulations to allow this to become integrated with the financial institutions of America. It's going to become a payment system, an investment vehicle. It's going to become part of all of the sectors of our economy. We have 11 sectors. Eventually, I believe crypto will be the 12th.
Well, Thomas, I just want to ask you, we're here in your bar. I think for a lot of people, having a tangible asset, like being able to buy a drink with Bitcoin, makes it feel a little better to them for some reason. Have you gotten that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started this project back in 2021, so it was COVID days. A great Bitcoin community fractured, right? They went to Austin, Nashville, Miami. So this was really a community project. We wanted something that Bitcoiners would be proud of and show off to their friends and family that this was actually like a thing that's happening in their lives. But we also wanted to make a space for newcomers to come into PubKey. Maybe they see somebody paying in Bitcoin, they ask the first question. We host a lot of free and open to the public Bitcoin programming. It's a mix of like entertainment and education in the back. They poke their head in, they ask the first question. That's so much better than some Bitcoiner, telling them that they should be interested in this thing.
How much did it mean to have President Trump come here during the campaign?
It was amazing. It was surreal. We're very grateful that he, stopped by, met the community. He spent way more time here than he was supposed to, which we love.
Very
right?
familiar with President Trump, yeah.
It was surreal and very stressful, but it was awesome.
For those people out there that are still a little mystified, what's your message to them?
Start small. Buy a third of a Bitcoin. Treat it as an investment long term. It's a new asset form. Think about it as digital gold. That's the way I look at it. The great thing about digital is that you can put it on your phone. You can actually see it every day, watch the price go up and down. And so at the end of the day, it's learning in small increments and not risking too much and getting to understand the technology. But the big news is that this will be the first administration that's going to say, this sector belongs in America. The development should be here. The technology should be mastered here. We should lead the world in it. Other administrations didn't do that. And I think we should celebrate it because I think we shouldn't fall behind on this.
Kevin O'Leary recently came out to give the best advice to people that are still on the fence about crypto, while also revealing his insane predictions for 2025. Let's take a deep dive into his insights and why he thinks that cryptocurrencies will be the 12th branch of the U.S. economy sooner than we might think. Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy Crypto.
Bitcoin is the granddaddy, as you know. Everybody knows and has heard of Bitcoin, so start there. Put $100 in. Enjoy. Watch.
I think you're exactly right. Starting small is important. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. I think that's also true with everything. I would say that about equities as well, right? You don't want all your eggs in one basket all the time. The volatility is striking, right? Everybody goes through a moment when you have that big retrace, you get a little bit sick, and then the next time you're just a little nauseous. You start to find your sea legs after a while.
Great analogy.
Yeah. And that happens. But, when we first opened, FTX had just collapsed. Our first customers were crying in their beers. But they came back, right? They're throwing high fives now. So it's the resiliency of the community, and it's easier to get through these things with friends. So, coming into PubKey during the bad times, got to come back and throw high fives when it's back at the bull market.
And, when you're talking about this administration, and they're not just acknowledgement of cryptocurrency, but embrace of cryptocurrency, that is such a big deal because, to your point, we didn't have that in the last administration. Did you feel that, Thomas? Did you feel like you were basically, this was something that was not at all championed by the Biden administration?
It was atrocious. For 4 years, It was a very aggressive administration. I think the biggest win was just moving on from that and not, getting stuck with another 4 or 8 years of that. It was very, very punitive. And there was no conversation, right? It wasn't something that you could go and talk about with the administration. It's a massive sea change for the industry.
Well, Kevin, let me ask you this. You say start small, but is it safe? A lot of people aren't sure when I send my money, if I use my money and I put it in crypto, where does it go and is it safe?
That's a great question. And if you try and do this on your own in a decentralized wallet, as they're called, someone will hack you most likely because you don't know what you're doing. To make it safe, go to an accredited exchange like Coinbase, something that is regulated, but also that you can see every day on your phone, that has millions of accounts, so it's got real structure. Okay. I'm telling you right now, Laura, money center banks do not like this because they're not going to be able to charge big fees on transactions around the world with currency, for example. It's $1 trillion market. When the American dollar gets digitized, it'll become the de facto payment system worldwide at a fraction of the cost. Wow. That's why there's so much excitement.
Some people would say crypto is just a fad, a passing trend. Yeah. What do you think?
Look, Bitcoin's here to stay. Bitcoin has never been hacked. You have custodians sometimes get compromised, right? Other technologies in crypto are experimental. You could argue if there's innovation there or not. Individuals, companies, they can be compromised for sure, but the technology itself is here to stay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Laura, there's one other thing about Bitcoin. It's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
It's just cool. It is. My kids, they actually gave it to each other. Christmas once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, cool.
Delivered a couple of Bitcoin to each other. I mean, and they still own it.
Kevin O'Leary recently shared his profound insights on cryptocurrency under the Trump administration. He painted a picture of transformation from the Wild West of unregulated chaos to a structured paradigm of growth. O'Leary highlighted the Bipartisan Genius Act, a beacon of hope for the crypto world. This groundbreaking legislation could pave the way for platforms like Robinhood, WonderFi, and Coinbase to revolutionize money transfers, shaking up traditional banking models.
Hey, let's bring in Kevin O'Leary to talk about this. Kevin, you say under Donald Trump, crypto is out of its cowboy era, no more wild, wild west. But the question is it the time to buy in for investors who have been crypto skeptical up to now?
I look at this as a very important signal to move policy away from just litigation, which is what was going on in crypto, to actually some rules, some guidelines. And the first, there's a lot of excitement, and maybe people are saying, well, it's just hype, but it's not, because there is a bill called the Genius Act. It used to be called, when it was first proposed over 4 years ago, the Stablecoin Act. They merged those together. That's Gillibrand with Haggerty. And this has bipartisan support. And so when Trump talks about legislation, the first pillar of legislation is going to be the Stablecoin Act, which I anticipate he will sign within the next couple of months. I'm optimistic. And that's not about Bitcoin. That's about digital payment systems. So that if you had a wallet like on Robinhood or WonderFi or Coinbase, you could just wire money to people for a fraction of the cost you pay for a bank right now, which would be great. Then the other legislation they'll be discussing today, which is also important, is the market infrastructure. In other words, is Ethereum a commodity or is it a security? Let's finally make a decision on these tokens and move forward with policy. So you may not like the circus around this, if you want to call it that, but for those of us who've been waiting for this advancement of the technology, which I think will affect all 11 sectors of the economy, this is really important to get some bipartisan activity around that Gillibrand and Haggerty are doing. And remember, and I really believe this, within the next few years, crypto will be the 12th sector of the economy. There's just too much productivity locked in there once we get the rules in place. And so if you want to be an investor, maybe think picks and shovels first. Buy the exchanges. I own a position in Coinbase, in Robinhood, and in WonderFi. That's where the activity is going to start if you don't like the volatility of Bitcoin.
But O'Leary's optimism doesn't stop there. He foresees a future where tokens like Ethereum find firm ground within regulatory frameworks, giving investors and technologists the clarity they've been craving. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Let me get to this one, Kevin. An advisor at the Treasury Department has uncovered large-scale problems facing the IRS. Listen to this. I'll get your comment.
What was the biggest surprise that you found at that Department of Treasury?
I would say it's the disconnect between leadership and the people actually doing the work. It doesn't take a lot, just somebody who cares to solve these problems. You find contracts that are 10, 20, 30, 50 million dollars, and you just ask, like, why are we doing this? And everyone's just like, I don't know. And then you cancel it, and then nothing happens. It's just inertia has just taken over.
Yeah, it's only money. By the way, Kevin, he said the IRS is not only 30 years behind, but it's $15 million over budget. I mean, look, if this was one of your businesses, you'd be furious, right?
You know, it's really hard to criticize the IRS. Nobody likes to do it. So let's just talk about, for obvious reasons. But every agency, many of them, are using software, for example, that was built 30 years ago. It hasn't been upgraded. And the IRS is probably no different. It's part of this whole dogification, if you want to call it that. I'm sure we could upgrade and make it faster and better.
Right.
And I think, just like every other agency, and I think people would like that because we all deal with the IRS. I'm dealing with them right now as we speak because it's tax time.
Yeah. Well, I have to leave it there, Kevin, on that happy but somewhat sad note that you're dealing with the IRS like we all are. Kevin O'Leary, great stuff, sir. Thank you so much.
With the winds of change sweeping through the financial landscape, cryptocurrencies stand as a beacon of potential growth and lucrative opportunities. As you contemplate your investment decisions, remember that the future is bright, but it is not going to wait for anyone. But what do you think? Share your thoughts. And finally, if you would like to know more about cryptocurrencies or specifically Bitcoin, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.